Perfect. Okay. Thank you all again for joining this morning. We really appreciate it. We appreciate your time and all of the work that you guys are doing. Welcome to our virtual coffee break with CFNC that happens the second Wednesday each month from about 9 to 9:45, and all college access professionals are welcome. Educators in our schools um, or anyone else who's working in the college access front. So thank you again for joining. My name is April Query. I'm the CFNC Assistant Vice President of College Access and Community Outreach. I manage outreach for the state, in case I haven't met some of you before. I've been here 18 years and love getting to do all this great work with all of you that work so hard. Here is our agenda. We have a mildly different agenda this morning because I want to allow for more time for us to talk about NC College Connect. So we have this piece right here, and then in just a few moments we will have Patty Harris join us to talk about NC College Connect. So she is our spotlight topic. I want to make sure we have time for Q&A. So we will miss our wonderful Constance Hollingsworth Pierce and her 5 minutes brewing success with Pro Tools this morning, to allow for us to spend a little more time on the topic. Okay, so if you have questions as we go through, the chat is open. You're welcome to throw them in there. And actually, I would encourage you all to kick off the morning by saying where you are joining from. Let us know what area of the state you're at or what school or organization you're representing so we can say good morning. And then hopefully you have your coffee as well to kind of kick you off with this very, very busy month that is October. So a couple of things with our morning meeting here before we dig in with Patty. Okay. First, I definitely want to take a minute, and this is hard because last month we took a minute to talk about the eastern side of the state, and now here we are this month, and we have a much bigger of a thing going on over in the western side of the state. So I know that we have some folks that normally will join us for virtual coffee breaks that can't this time, and our thoughts are with everyone. And then we have others that you guys are up and working, but your county may still be FEMA impacted, or there still may be definitely some consequences of Helene happening in your area. And we're thinking of you all. And then I'm in Wilmington, and then our outreach assistant, Kate Freeland, who is on, who I'll talk about what she's working on here in just a minute. She's also over here in Wilmington. So we are not personally affected with our homes here. However, we have colleagues and friends in the western side of the state. So we are thinking of everyone, and we have thought a lot about here at CFNC what we may be able to do that we're still working on to make sure that our students and families have an opportunity to take advantage of some of the things that we have going on this month. Whether it's something like this that's recorded that they can watch on their own time, or perhaps it's other student sessions that we have going on this month that again are recorded and on YouTube, and they can watch those on their own time. And then working on some other things as well, more information to come. That said, that puts me into our conversation about College Application Week. But I did just want to take a second and point out all the great folks that we have joining us. So we do have some folks from Western North Carolina. We've got Columbus County, oh, Mosley. We've got the 252 area represented here, Lumberton, Johnston County, Pender County, Onslow County, Burke County, and Sampson County. So it goes, you guys have done such a good job talking. We have such a great team of educators in North Carolina, so supportive of everybody. So yeah, looks like we're pretty well represented across the state here. Thank you guys. College Application Week, the list of colleges that are waiving. I want to talk about that first very quickly. I'm just going to talk for a few more minutes, and then I'll pass this on over to Patty, who is our main event speaker here this morning. Our list in the last couple years, we have put it out on October 1st. We had fully planned on doing that again this year. We had the list ready to go a few days before that, We were even considering releasing it that Monday, September 30th. But then Helene visited North Carolina and Tennessee and South Carolina. So Helene came and visited us. And what we had to do was take a minute and step back and make sure that the institutions that are located on the western side of the state were still up for, being listed. So that definitely was a priority of ours, just to make sure that they wanted to be listed on that list. So we had to take a pause and give them a minute, knowing that this is not their priority also, right? Just like, a lot of our families in Western North Carolina right now. So we had to take just a beat and make sure that they were okay with it. I think we are good to go. We're finalizing a couple things this morning. I'm scared to say that it will go live today exactly, but that is the aim. So I have said this week, very likely today, okay? So keep an eye on it. There will be an email that goes out if you're registered for our newsletter. And maybe we can, I think Kate can probably put in the chat this morning the link to make sure you are signed up for the general, like the educator newsletter, because that comes out every other week, I think, and we have all that stuff. So we're gonna have that go out today. Fingers crossed. And then the toolkit will go live with that as well. The toolkit includes stuff like social media help and just all kinds of good stuff. So that's going to go live. Okay. So keep an eye on that site. Also, Kate Freeland, who again is our outreach assistant, is working on packets. So if you sign up to be a site coordinator, which probably everyone on here did, those packets will be going out starting this week. So keep an eye on those. Okay. And yes, I was just checking. Yes, so that's a good, so we had a question come in that I'd like to answer live. On how, college application week is happening a week later than it usually does this year. And it's directly related to NC College Connect, which we're going to talk about this morning. So it's a great question and it goes right into it. We needed to kind of work together with all the great folks planning this awesome thing, NC College Connect, to make sure there was some time for the students to get their letters that Patty will talk about, and make sure there was time to kind of launch that and not mix it in too much and get families confused with college application week. So next year, we're hoping to continue having it, kind of 1 week before. So it's all in there. And then the student sessions, don't forget to advertise those. We have another one going on actually today at 4:30. And we're doing some little Amazon gift cards for those, and it's just 30 minutes. Great information for the students. Today we're going to have a career development coordinator join, and we're going to be talking about careers, and then finding some colleges that offer those options prior to college application week. So some planning there. And you can find all of that at cfnc.org/C2C or cfnc.org/events. So we'll put some links in the chat, okay? And what I would like to do now is pass it over to Patty Harris. She is our spotlight speaker this morning. She is the director of Gear Up North Carolina and has experience with the College Advising Corps. And I have had the pleasure of working with Patty for a decade and a half or so. I don't know. It's been a minute. So we've been able to work together, and gonna pass this right over to her. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A or put them in the chat. And thank you so much. And thank you, Patty, for being here. I'll pass it on over to you. I'm gonna stop share because I know Patty has some slides that she will be sharing on her side.
Sure. All right. I am, thank you, April. I am sharing now. I have to give a quick disclaimer. Thank you all, one, for taking your time out to be a part of this coffee talk. I do have a sick little one that is here with me. So if you do, I'm not on camera, but if I sound a little bit distracted, or if you happen to hear a little bit of a nursery rhyme, that is why in the background. So just bear with me. But thank you all so much for your time. Thank you, April, for the invite. And as has been said, I am Patty Harris, Director of Gear Up North Carolina. And just a little quick snippet about Gear Up. Gear Up is a federally funded college access program that is funded by the Department of Education, and North Carolina has received the Gear Up grant, state grant, since 2000. And if you've heard of Gear Up, you may have heard of our partnership grants as well. So across our state, some of our local entities or smaller regional areas of our state can also have a Gear Up grant. And so there is a Gear Up grant at App State, Winston-Salem State, and Fayetteville currently, in terms of our higher ed partners. So just wanted to share that, a little bit about Gear Up. But today I'm here to talk about NC College Connect. And so NC College Connect is a program that has been created with the goal of increasing access to higher ed. And so there's a lot of information on these slides, but I'm going to talk to you a little bit just informally. This is a coffee talk. So feel free to read this information. And April, I can share this as well with you afterwards if you would like to share it with the listeners.
Okay. Do
And
you mind? I'm sorry.
no, go
I was
ahead.
going to tell you and Kate if you need it. I just enabled you guys to share your video of yourself if you want to. You don't have to. I'm sorry. I forgot
Ah,
to click that button. I'm so sorry.
okay.
But also on the screen, you can see like the marks here, like at the top where you must have the panel, and then a panel on the right here that must be Zoom.
Oh,
It's
you can
covering
see.
up the
Oh,
participating institutions. Yeah, normally,
thank
right? Yeah,
you.
totally. Normally, it's like not something that the people can see, but nope, can see it.
This is interesting. Is
Covering up.
that better?
Yes,
Is
I can
that
still see the one at the
okay?
top, but I don't think that's gonna block any information, but, oh, no,
Let me
okay,
see.
sorry.
I'm trying to hide. I don't know. There we go. There we go. Can you see it now or
Yes,
not see it? Is that better?
it's perfect, absolutely
Mm.
perfect.
All right.
You're
So
perfect,
NC
it's
College.
perfect.
Thank you. So yes, NC College Connect is a pilot program that has launched this fall, and to increase, again, the goal of access to higher ed by simplifying the application process. So a key piece to NC College Connect is it's a simple application. And so in this pilot year, we have a few institutions that are participating, and you can see there on the list there of the institutions participating. And I wanted to make a note that for the community colleges, all 58 community colleges are participating. And I'll talk a little bit about how students will know which community college they will have access to via NC College Connect. Uh-oh. Let's see. Oh, wait a minute. There we go. So this program is for all of North Carolina's public high school students with a weighted GPA of 2.8 and above. And this eligibility was determined via a student's GPA at the end of their junior year. And the data was collected via Power School. So before the rollout of Infinite Campus, data was already collected. I know we received some questions about that. And so in addition to that 2.8, students will still need to maintain that 2.8 throughout their senior year. And then in addition to, of course, graduating from high school and meeting the UNC system requirements. And so this is the great part, and this is timely. Students will know that they're eligible because first they will actually receive a letter in the mail. And this letter in the mail will be mailed first class to the student's address that was in Power School at the time. And so we recognize that, students' addresses may change, or it may not be what it used to be, and thinking prior to, of course, Hurricane Helene. And I can share now that in response to Hurricane Helene, we have paused certain letters going out to some of those impacted areas, obviously due to the post office not being able to run, and obviously not people not having homes. So we are very cognizant and being considerate of that fact and are working with DPI to make sure that students in those impacted areas, one, have their basic needs met, but that also that this program will still be available to them once things do become up and running. So I did want to communicate that. But for all other students across the state, these letters have been mailed out. And so they should be arriving to students' mailboxes and doorsteps this week into early next week. And so that's the piece that April was mentioning, making sure that we had all the information we needed to get this information to students' hands so that they had time to apply during college application week. And so also, students will receive a reminder postcard next month. So even if a student does not apply to one of those institutions during college application week, they can still apply to any of those institutions afterward. And so we will remind them of that via a postcard in November. So how will students apply? I ain't nobody. Sorry about that, you all. Students will apply via nccollegeconnect.org, where they can access the application portal. This is separate from your from our app from the application portal with CFNC. So this is a separate portal that has been created specifically for NC College Connect. Students will then log in, though, using their CFNC account. We know that they already have one because you all have been working so great with your students. But of course, if a student does not, they can create one on the spot, and it still should connect back to the student's information using their student ID number. And then after logging in, students will see the list of institutions where they can apply and then complete the simple application. And so questions that are on that application are literally the start term and year. What time, what day, or excuse me, what term does the student intend to start at that institution? What is their intended major? Their email and their name will be pulled over from their profile information. And then that's about it. That's the simple application. And so I'll go to the next slide. I'll talk a little bit about what's next, but this is super important in terms of application fees. So those applications or the institutions specifically our 4 years will still have application fees ranging from 30 to 75, depending on the institution. So we highly encourage students to apply to those institutions via NC College Connect next week to have most of those application fees waived. As of now, in April, please let me know if this has changed. UNCG is the only institution in the list of NC College Connect institutions that is not waiving the fee for college application week. April, is that still correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. And so for students, however, if they do qualify for a College Board or ACT fee waiver, students can still submit those to waive that fee at any time. So definitely make sure that students understand that. At the end of the application, it will ask for the payment outside of college application week. And so if a student does decide to apply to multiple institutions, those fees will then add up. And the student will be expected to pay unless they check that there's a fee waiver. So just want to make sure I communicate that. And so then here we go. What's next? So we encourage students, and I know that you all, I'm preaching to the choir, you all know this as well. Students really should be checking their emails consistently once they submit any application, but especially for NC College Connect. Students will, and I put this in bold because we've heard from our institutions, through this simplified process, it helps students, one, know that there is an institution that is available to them. That's increasing that access. But our institutions want to make sure that they have the information needed to make sure the student knows that they qualify for a particular scholarship or academic programs. And so some of the institutions will reach out just to say, hey, we invite you to, look into this particular scholarship or this program. We just need additional information. So we really want students to make sure that they are checking their emails for these requests to make sure that they are not left out. We have received questions from counselors asking, well, will students still qualify for scholarships? And yes, yes, they will, but some of that will definitely be, they'll receive requests for additional information after they submit that simple application. So I'm going to kind of skim through this. This is our toolkit guide. There has been a toolkit created specifically for NC College Connect. So even after college application week, we know that, as April mentioned, some of you all are site coordinators for that. And there's a lot of information coming to you to share out. You can use this even after the fact. And so there's a printed one pager in the toolkit on the website. And so you can print this out if you're having a parent night or you have a space in your office for parents and students to just come by and pick up things. Feel free to print this out for your audience to learn more about NC College Connect. If you have an active and engaged social media, we have created graphics for you, so feel free to use these depending upon the platforms that you have. Of course, feel free to create your own captions, but we ask that you don't change the meaning of the program anyway, and there are some examples of captions on the toolkit page for social media. PowerPoint slides. So there is a condensed version of the PowerPoint slides also in the toolkit, and as well as a version in Spanish. All of the toolkit has now been translated in Spanish. So, and I believe April, Juana and Juanes that also travel across our state to help share information in Spanish have access to these as well. But if you have someone at your school or you have parents who would like to learn more about this program, you can also share the toolkit assets with them in Spanish. And then if you have an engaged email listserv or people that read your emails, or you create like a newsletter, we have content specifically for that, just to make it easier for you. You don't have to create anything. It's already there. And then the last piece is just messaging points and FAQs. So there is some messaging points there. So if you're talking about this, maybe you're doing a robocall home and you want to insert a short blurb into that, you can use the messaging points. And we also have FAQs. Now, these are getting periodically updated as we just learn more over time, especially as you all have questions and we get feedback from you and from students, and even as we are adjusting our communication for the western part of the state. Now, these last few notes, just to remember that during college application weeks, most of the fees are waived. So we highly encourage students to submit their applications via NC College Connect next week. Should students lose their letters, high schools will have a list of eligible students, and this is through a DPI communication. So you should or will be receiving access to that information very, very soon if you have not already. But students, if you would like to also notify students of that 2.8, you can. I'll also say here, and sorry if I'm talking very fast, students that do not have that 2.8, should they log into the portal, there will be communications specifically for them that will show up, again, based on that GPA from their junior year, still encouraging them to apply to the local community college and other options. So there is communication set aside for those students as well. Students still are encouraged to explore their financial aid options. While they're doing this, we know students may be completing RDS. And on CFNC.org, we also encourage them to look at the Next NC Scholarship or the catalog of scholarships that are listed on CFNC's website. And then lastly, while students may qualify for the simple application process, we still encourage students to look into other institutions not a part that may best fit the student priorities and interests. So we still encourage students to look into those other options. NC College Connect is just one of those that exists in North Carolina. And then lastly, I really want to reiterate, as you are navigating College Application Week very soon, should you have questions, of course, you know your CFNC Outreach Coordinator or your district PIOs, but there are email addresses if you have questions specifically related to NC College Connect. If there are any related to DPI, such as the GPA, or you receiving access to your list, students, feel free to email nccollegeconnect@dpi.nc.gov. For UNC system-related questions, if there are any questions related to those four-year public institutions that are participating, or if you have questions about the UNC minimum requirements, you can email there. And then any questions related to the community colleges. In terms of the one community college that will be listed on the student's letter. That community college was selected based on one, distance to that student's address, but also the number of students that are enrolling into that specific community college from that student's county, or excuse me, district. So if a student is in a district that has about 60% of students that are enrolling at a particular institution, community college, that's how that community college was selected on their list. It does not mean that the student cannot apply to any other community college using the traditional application. It just means that that one is only available via the NC College Connect process. And then if you need to learn more, this QR code will take you to the NC College Connect landing page. And that's all. I know that was a great deal of information. I will come off screen and I may come on camera. You may see my face, or you may see my little boy who's now looking at the camera with me. um, but yes, so that's the NC College Connect updates.
Okay, I have questions. They're coming in.
Yes.
So I'll pass them over. And this is perfect because this is the point of these coffee breaks is like, it's informal. It's very informal, right?
Yeah.
We have so many formal things we have to be on. Like this is.
Listen, here's my kid. He doesn't have coffee, but I will shortly.
At any given moment, it could be my kid in here. And same with probably half the people that are on, right? At least it's something
Thank,
beautiful to look at.
yeah. Thank you for the hearts. I'm seeing those come in.
Okay, so the first thing I want to address is what's been going on in the chat for the most thing. And I tried to
Okay.
clear it up a smidge, but I said I'd pass it over to you. So we've got a
Sure.
couple of people that have they're perhaps the community college that they've been talking to does not have the correct information. So essentially we have at least one, if not more than that, community college spokesperson or whoever they were working with there
Mm,
say that not only do they have to do, they would do NC College Connect, they still have to do the standard application for the community college, which is incorrect. However, what you were just mentioning about there's one, right? They'll be shown one community college that's in there. That's one. They can still apply to others using the standard one. But do you mind talking to
correct.
that and just, if there's anything else I didn't mention?
Yeah, that is a great question. And um, if I will be transparent. So part of this pilot has been aligning all of the resources to be on one page about the process, right? And so part of some of that was ensuring that the community colleges were able to get as much information as they needed to move students forward into their enrollment process. And so the NC College Connect is the simple application process. However, as we are unable at this time to speak exactly to what the follow-up questions will be for each institution. So for the community colleges, to my knowledge, it has been communicated that they should not be still redirecting students to their traditional application because then it's becomes, redundant. And so that's, I know what we have been working on specifically with some of the leadership at the community college system level is to make sure that they are aware. And so if I would highly encourage you to use those emails to forward that question. If there is a specific community college that is still like, no, I need you to do the traditional application, please send an email to the UNC system one, and we can share the slides out as well afterward, and to the community college one so that we can look into that. I wish I could say, 100% what everybody is doing, but at this time, I can't say with 100% certainty that those messages have not been received or have been received to all 58 community colleges. But to my knowledge, it has been communicated that they should not be sending students to the traditional application once they complete NC College Connect.
Yeah. And it's the real life side of this is, as you all know, because you've worked with the admissions folks, is you have the director of admissions or direction services that should have received this information. How
Yeah.
it gets passed down from there is up to the institution. And then we have, turnover in admissions and stuff. So it's why this has been heavily advertised as a pilot. But those email addresses, I put a comment in there, just like Patty said, that was on like her second to last slide or last slide. Well, it'll be in the PowerPoint recording and stuff. Use those, use them, because for the most part, let's say one of you is communicating with blank community college, and then you send me an email, or your associate outreach director, for CFNC an email for the college. We're gonna end up probably sending you to that email address to tell them, or we're gonna end up sending you just back to the college, period. So it's like a bounce, unnecessary bounce, only because we don't have the answer, right?
Yeah. And I'll add, April, I'm seeing the chat now too, that this is a pilot year and we are learning really right alongside you all. We engaged a lot of people at DPI to make sure that we were encompassing and including all voices. So um, um, from counselor voices to those who are doing direct work with college access and applications. And so we're learning, and I think this is one of those things that we're learning is how to make sure that the communication is as streamlined as possible. And so one of the things I'll see in the chat, there is a recording, Linda, of the presentations, and I will, actually in the toolkit, I forgot to mention, there is a recording. There is also a recording being added in Spanish. So that recording was just completed and approved yesterday. And so I believe this week we're working with the CFI team to get that uploaded. So there will be those two recordings that are available of the presentation. The application does not ask for the RDS number. And that is one of those pieces that I know the community colleges will be following up with students on, is to make sure that they have that on file. That was a little bit of a point of, I won't say contention, but in an effort to make the application simple, that piece was not included. So the RDS is not being asked on the NC College Connect application, but students will still need to complete RDS because it won't be complete until they do submit that number to their institution.
Okay. Okay, perfect. And then we've got, just, remind me again here, Karen has said, yeah, for those traditional four-year applications, they do not need to do the traditional application.
Correct.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Yep, it's just those, five, institutions. That's the point of NC College Connect, is it's a simplified application process.
No essays based on the admissions requirements at this time. Those entrance exam scores are not required. So yes, that helps to, like you said, speak to the simplification of it.
Yep. Okay, so we have a question. How will students use this program if they don't get their letter? So I think that question came in earlier when you were talking about Power School. The address might not be right. What is your recommendation?
Yes, students should reach out to their school counselor because all school counselors should have access to the list of students at their school that are eligible. I forget the name of the portal that it goes through, but it's from DPI.
Mhm.
But if you have not received that list, please definitely email the DPI email, and that way you will know exactly who at your school is eligible, and then you can communicate with those students. Hey, go to nccollegeconnect.org, and it will direct you to log in to the NC College Connect portal to complete the application. So, or students can scan the QR codes as well on those toolkit assets. So there are multiple entry points to the portal.
Okay. And I'll say too, as you guys are considering college application week, and these students, we've all been in the room with the students doing them, sometimes they come in and they just sit down and do an application and then later they're like, oh no, I got a letter in the mail and I just applied to, Western, and you're like, oh boo, or not what, but it's whatever it is, right? And you're like, oh dear. Okay, well, it's fine. And no big deal. We're still going to do the simplified application process. Let's just do it. It'll take 5 minutes probably, right?
Yep.
So that's like, the accidental side of stuff. But if you want to figure out how to plan this better with college application week, we really encourage you to have that list of students that should have gotten a letter printed out when and with you, just in case. So as students are coming in and signing in, that way there's an opportunity to say, did you get that letter in the mail? And for most students, they got the letter. Whether or not they still have it is another story. But hopefully they'll remember getting the letter in the mail. And then you can say, okay, are you interested in applying to one of these institutions? And if the answer is yes, then they can just do the simplified application process. Right, and we put links in here. I did put a link in for the student side too, and it'll say the student, like let's say they don't have their letter with them, they can still just go on to the CFNC spot where it says claim my spot. They need to be logged in, and I see a few more questions we'll address. So they need to be logged in. But I want to encourage you all to make sure that your students, that your seniors, especially before college application week, so like now or like next week or whatever, have them go on to CFNC, go into their account. They need to make sure they have their student number in there because that claim my spot piece, in order to know who the student is and to pull that data that's coming from DPI, right? The DPI is using to say if the student qualifies. So if they got a letter, a qualifying letter, it's based on a couple things that are in their CFNC account. They've got to make sure they have their student number in there. And they need to make sure they need to make sure they have just updated, right? It's a good time to update it anyway. Update your name, update your address, what school they go to, so you can see them in Pro Tools. And then also the simplified application process asks for a personal email address, not their school email address, right? Because that's going to expire next summer for our seniors. So a personal email address. So that's kind of step one. If you're thinking practically, how do I get this, so one, do what Patty said, make sure you have that list. If you haven't gotten your list of seniors who got the letter, email the DPI email address ASAP. Two, plan on doing sessions if you can with your students, with your seniors, make sure they go in their CFNC account, they update their name, their address, the school they go to, get their student ID in there and get a personal email address in there. If you have a group of students that don't have personal email addresses and don't know how to do that, back that up even one more step, right? Okay, so we have a question from Rachel. Will the community, and this is a good thing to review again. Will the community college assign to students, is it by county they live in or what they're geographically closer to?
It is by county. Actually, I'm going to pull up specifically
Yeah. I want to say,
just
is
so
it
I
by
can
like,
read to you.
because that's a really good
Um,
question. Like Northmore High School,
yeah.
for example, they're closer to Montgomery. So, I mean, really, like their students kind of go to Montgomery County. I want to say there was a piece that enrollment was based around them. I don't know. I'll stop, let Patty go. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to, I'm actually pulling up the specific note from one of our partners at the community college,
Okay.
just so I'm reading exactly
Exactly. You're fine.
what
And there's
the
an
answer
easy
to your question
question
is.
in here from Ms. Martin that I can answer while you look that up. Is the letter purely informational, making up words, for eligible students, or is there information they have to have on the letter? It's informational, really. We know that a lot of our kids are going to lose that letter, and they can. And I'll put the link in again where they can just go on to CFNC and hit claim my spot. But they need to, open their mail and maybe read the water. Um, if not, you have the list, but it's informational. If they keep it, fabulous. But it's not absolutely required. So we have someone asking if anyone else has received that DPI email. So I guess you guys could just toss that in here. Somebody
And
got it already. Went to district leadership. The file was securely
okay.
sent to district test coordinators. So you might have to go check with them. I have more questions, but I'm gonna give Patty a second here. Make sure any question I answer is when I'm pretty confident here.
And I apologize, y'all.
You're fine.
I know the answer in my head, but I want to make sure I'm saying it correctly, whether that is the county piece or the distance piece.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I would, if you don't have it yet, ask your student services, director or the lead counselor, whatever you have in your school district. Because they have been made aware. I think those trainings might be done now. Their DPI did a series of trainings, based on region here.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're done now. They took over, like, it took about a month to get everywhere, but I want to say either they're done or they're about to be done. So there's a pretty good chance that your school student services director, whoever that person is, has received the training on this. I'm scrolling up to see what else is in here. I want to make sure I don't miss anything.
Okay, here we go.
Yes, okay.
I'm going to read to you this specific email. So each community college serves one or more multiple counties in which a school district may reside. So the community colleges were paired with the school district housed within that county. And so for school districts bordering two community colleges, we selected the community college that enrolls over 60% of that county's population. So it is county, not so much the distance by the district.
Perfect. That is perfect.
Thank you guys for your patience while I pulled that up. I want to make sure I was reading
No,
it to you
no,
accurately.
that's perfect. It's better to have um, okay, I know that Michael had a question. Let me scroll up. I'm coming, Michael.
I think I see it. I had my
Yeah,
my
Michael.
thing on it. The
Okay,
3-year grads, if they're eligible to apply, yes. And this does apply to fall 25 enrollment. So if a student, but on that drop down list, they can specify whether that might be fall 25 or even I believe they do give them the option of spring 26. But those options are on the application in terms of when students want to enroll.
yeah, let's see. We've got someone wondering those emails that you had on that one slide. Do you
Mm-hmm.
mind pulling that up again? And I'm going to put it in the chat
Sure.
too, so everybody can copy paste.
Sure. Sure.
And I know there's some more questions. Oh, okay, Karen, you found it. Okay, I know that we just had some questions. Oh, and there's that block is there, that fun
Yep. I'm going to minimize it 1 second.
Oh, you're fine.
There we go.
Done. Let's see. Okay, so we've got the NC College Connect for high school related questions. Okay, high school related. I had someone ask if we put it in the chat too. Some high school related
Sure.
questions through DPI is NC College Connect at dpi.nc.gov, NC College Connect. Okay. And then UNC system is NC, whoops, I can spell. This is going to be a really
And
fun recording for you guys to watch, by the way. People later,
April,
because we're just all like,
April, I can copy and paste this in the chat.
Okay, are you sure? Okay.
Yes, let me do that because I'm like, I don't want
It's
you.
fun
I
recording.
hear you.
I
I
don't
hear you
mind. I love the sound of,
articulating it.
typing, it's fine. Okay, so, oh, perfect. Brandy, your question you sent in, can you please put the contact info in the chat? So we've got that we're doing now. And then I know we had a couple of people ask, but the timing we might have, I think we already went over it. So I think the timing is good. So how will students use this program if they don't get their letter? That's exactly right. We kind of talked about that. So make sure you have your list. Otherwise, they can just go to, and I said I would put that back in here again. If students just go to apply to college, on CFNC. So just they go to the website, they click on apply to college, they'll see in the left nav side the NC College Connect piece. And I'm just going to copy and paste that in here. That's right. It probably won't let you copy. Well, at least it's in there so you guys can like jot it down. I would keep that with you because that is, like general questions, you know what I mean? Like if you forget, like where do they go on the website again for this? Or just where's the education professional resources again? I mean, we can totally direct you to that all day. But if it's something, like super specific, like I asked my director of student services and they said they haven't gotten it either and nobody knows, that's a great question for DPI, right? Or if your student was perhaps told something incorrect from an admissions counselor and you're confused, that's a great question for the community college system or the UNCs, depending on which one it is, right? Pilot, trying to make sure everybody has all the correct information. But claim your spot and it's good. I logged into my account just as an FYI on CFNC, and obviously I don't qualify. And the message that I got is really simple. And let me share my screen. And that's why we have these virtual coffee breaks technically end at 9:45, but we have the space open until 10 just in case. And this is a great just in caser. Okay, make sure everybody can see that. Okay, so where I went to, just so everyone can see, so I'm on the home page, right, of CFNC homepage. I'm a student. I'm gonna go to apply to college. And I'm gonna scroll down, and right here I see NC College Connect. Okay, and I'm a student, and I read this, and I'm like, oh, this is cool, cool, cool. All right, anyway, I'm just gonna click on claim my spot. I'm already logged in, and it knows that I'm not eligible. Okay, so this is the message that I get if I'm not eligible. Thank you for your interest in NC College Connect. Our records indicate that you're not eligible for the program. Please contact your high school with any questions, right? Maybe you're like, I should be eligible. I know I am. I have a 3.5 weighted or something. Maybe you didn't update your CFNC account right? Maybe there's something just kind of wonky. And then they can come to you. Otherwise, you still have options. You can explore our college search tool. So we want to make sure we're still encouraging students to, especially if you have a kid who's like, which will happen, it already happened, who's like, I don't know if I got a letter or not. No clue. And you're like, well, let's do a couple ways you can figure out if they got a letter. You can look in your list from DPI, right? If you know that their weighted GPA is over 2.8, there's another option, right? Or you can have them click on claim my spot and just see where they are. But they do need to make sure that they have their information in their account correctly. So I'm going to click on my dashboard. I want to show you where to go, tell your students to go. Seniors need to go to this anyway because they need to make sure their info is correct in their account, especially before college application week. They need to make sure that your school is listed, right? So that you can track them in Pro Tools. So I'm gonna go to my profile. Okay. And then you're gonna come into the About Me section. Okay, so they need to make sure their name's right in here. And we know our students, some of them made their account early on and, put something fun in here, or maybe their legal name that's in Power School is not something they really go by, but they need to have that information in here correctly. Okay, they need to make sure their address is right. Okay. And they are going to need to kind of go in and save that. Okay, there's an About Me section. There's nothing in here that they have to make sure is correct for NC College Connect. But the main thing is just making sure that they have their personal email address and student number and stuff in there, and then they can make sure that they have your school connected. It's under school connections. Okay, so they just need to make sure that that's in there correct. Okay, and then the last thing I want to show you real quick is if you go into education professionals, so this is for you all. On the left, down towards the bottom, you'll see NC College Connect resources, and this is the link that we sent. learn how your students can claim their spot, FAQs. There's a lot of good resources in here, like really. And then there's your Spanish resources. Okay, so good stuff in there. And then I know that we have another question. Oh, perfect. Patty's already on it. Go.
No problem. And I wanted to note one, I apologize. I kept saying next week, like college
Mhm.
application week was next week. It is not. We got one more week. I
I know.
apologize for that. But that also, I wanted to also just clarify, letters are actually being mailed out as we speak. So the specific dates, the 7th through the 9th, is a time frame that letters were being mailed out. Just to give you an idea, there was over 70,000 students across our state that were eligible for this program. And so that's the amount of letters that are being mailed out. And then imagine we were pulling those from the western part just based on zip code. So those letters are being mailed out as we speak. So I would say give students about till next week to begin following up to say, hey, did you get your letter yet? Just wanted to communicate that. So we aren't preemptively asking about the letter, and the student definitely would not have received it just yet unless they were part of some of the earlier batches, but letters were being mailed out the 7th through the 9th. So next week, students should be receiving those letters. And again, I do apologize. College application week starts from the 21st.
No problem. And I put that in there. And then I'm gonna make sure that let's see, Kate had shared the link to sign up for the newsletter again, because we do the educator one every other week. And there's several of us that have eyes on it. Like we're trying really hard to make sure that it's, oh, no, that's not it. We're trying really hard to make sure that it's, really helpful for everyone. Okay, so I'm gonna put that in again and then see if anyone has any questions. Constant contact. Everything starts with a C. College
Gosh.
Connect, constant contact, pages.com, SV. It would have been easier to just go to the page and then copy and paste it, but I'm in too deep now. Okay, there we go. I should do it. I have it right. Okay. I don't see any other questions that have come in. I think we answered them all. There's a lot of resources there. And nope, it's not the right. Look at me over here messing things up. Surprise, surprise. Does it ever happen? Let's see. Kate, do you mind? I don't know, one of us. I figure if one of us get on it faster. Here, no, that's not it. Here we go. Got it. I'm gonna click on it and then I'm gonna do this. And I'm putting it in the chat again. There we go. And I'm gonna delete the wrong one. Perfect. Okay. So thank you, Patty. I can't thank you
Sure.
enough for being here and providing all of this information. Um, it's so helpful. And I will say one thing that obviously besides the access piece that is so helpful for our families, so besides the access piece, the other thing is that this really is for the most part this year, for the most part, it really is cut and dry. Black and white,
Mhm.
here's the answer, right? You got a question, here's your answer. I mean, it really is. So there's not a whole lot of confusion there. I did want to stop Michael, Mr. Elder, good morning. Okay, our students who transferred in after, if Michael's in Onslow County too, so he's thinking of the military
Okay.
kiddos. So our students who
Mhm.
transferred in after the end of last year but have a 2.8 eligible, and what about military transfers? Madame Harris.
That is a great question. Um, and I really hate when people do this, but I don't have the answer to that. Um, but I would definitely defer you to the DPI's email. They're quick with responding. Um, because I know that they have thought about that and there is an answer. And I hate that I didn't think about that special population in preparation for today, Michael. So I would rather defer you to the experts and the source directly. So if you would email DPI with that, well, you have some great questions, Michael. But yeah, if you would direct that question to the DPI email, that would be great. And I'll look into that as well, April, so that we can just have that. I'm gonna double check the FAQs as well, just to make sure, because I think that's a question that statewide we need to
Mhm.
make sure we have a response for.
Mhm. Absolutely. And Michael's great. He's over in Onslow County and they do fabulous work. So it's the good questions. Homeschool students. What about homeschool students? Let's see. Um,
I believe they are eligible.
would homeschool students be the same way if they transition back to a traditional school setting? Ooh la la. Miss Megan, good question.
And I know we've answered that question. April, let me get back to you on those special population questions. So the
Okay.
homeschool question, the military question, I know that we have addressed those, and we have responses for those students. But I'm like 90% certain that homeschool students, but I want to be spot on
Okay.
about that. So
Okay, and once you send me the answers, what I'll do, because it'll take a day or so to get this out, the recording out and stuff. So I'll include answers for everyone in case you're like, oh, great question, Michael, great question, Pate, Miss Pate. Let's sorry, I know someone named Pate. Miss Pate. I think that it'd probably be, great questions. And the CEU certificate will be emailed out from Kate Freeland in the next. Yeah, really, she's so quick. It's Kate. We always say a week to give cushion, but the reality is you'll probably get it today or tomorrow. She's fast, but she's also working on those C2C, I'm sorry, the C2C site coordinator packets to get mailed out. And those of you that are in, well, I don't know if we have anybody on. We're trying to be cognizant of the FEMA impacted counties. We have plenty of schools that are absolutely not in session and don't necessarily need to get a packet for a site coordinator. So we're trying to be very cognizant of that. Here's what I will say. If you are in a FEMA impacted county, which they just added Swain and Mecklenburg, if you're in one of those areas, please send Kate an email. I'm going to put her email address in here. If you are in one of those areas, but you still would like your packet, please shoot Kate an email. She's trying very hard to make sure that those packets don't get sent for anyone who doesn't need it, right? But if you are in one of those areas and still want it, Kate can take note here, but also probably send her an email.
in April, I have to hop off for a 10 o'clock meeting, but I definitely want to say thank you for inviting me and thank you to all of the attendees for coming to the coffee and conversation. I know I did a lot of talking, but together we will assist our students, make sure that they are aware of their opportunities. So and just reiterating, this is a pilot year, and so we really appreciate everyone's feedback as we learn and for the next year and for to make this even better for more students. So thank you all so much for your time. Thanks, April.
Yes, thank you, Patty. Thank you so much. Um, you're much appreciated.
Thank you.
I love you. Thank you. If anyone is logged in under my name and somehow it's just still there, when Kate pulls the list through Zoom, as you probably know, it's going to pull me. So shoot a message over to Kate or put it in the chat here. If it looks like your April query, just like Sonia did. That way you get, in your email address, so you get it. So for those of you that are still with us here, I just want to say a quick thank you for joining. We'll get your CEU certificate to you, and then next month, November 13th, we will have our next virtual coffee break, and we'll have someone joining us to talk about finding North Carolina-based scholarships. So we'll talk a little bit about the resources that are on CFNC. However, we're going to have some speakers hopefully join us to talk about a few different things that we'd like to go over. I'd like to go over FELS, forgivable education loans for service, and then what we have in North Carolina, just period. So we'll have some folks join us from the State Education Assistance Authority and elsewhere. So thank you all again so much. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording here.